Welcome. Thanks for joining in. One very interesting thing that Bruno Groening instructed people to do on both the spiritual path and the healing path, as if they're two different things, they really are, was to not think about their illnesses and burdens. Over and over and over again, he urged people not to dwell on what's negative, and specifically on anything negative, but specifically on illness. That actually interfered with the healing process. Here's a quote from him that touches on that topic. God has decreed so much for us, but humans don't take it into themselves. Humans would rather plague themselves, would rather work with evil, working day in, day out, even treating evil, instead of listening to God and really following God and allowing God to guide him, doing what God has determined for him. So if we spend all of our time, energy, and attention focusing on illnesses, then we're not spending our time and attention focusing on the cure, which is God and this divine energy which God sends. Bruno Groening said he loved working with animals because he could work with them for a short period and their negative thinking wouldn't interfere with the healing process. So that's something for us to really take to heart. And in the end, not thinking about the illness isn't just the act of not thinking about the illness, something that's bothering us. There's only one reason to constantly think over and over and over again about an illness or a burden. And that reason is simply that we don't believe it's going to be healed. If we really trusted that an illness would be healed, we wouldn't think about it. So thinking about an illness is actually just a symptom of a lack of faith that it's going to be healed or cured. Now, on this path, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't work with doctors, we shouldn't seek healing practitioners, we shouldn't work with holistic or alternative practitioners. Bruno Groening said nature is the first healer. So it's not that we want to, get all, I can't think about the illness ever, or I mustn't ever speak about it, or I mustn't see a doctor. We don't want to turn it into rigid rules like that, because rigidity is the opposite of life. Life is about ebb and flow, and is in the quote I just read, it's about following God. So sometimes it's best to see a practitioner, especially if they're holistically minded or, work with tools that are natural, such as herbs. And in fact, Bruno Groening spoke very highly of herbs. But in the end, this practice of not thinking about the illness is actually about what it always is about on this path, trusting and having faith in God. If we really trust that something is going to be healed, then there's no need to think about it. So if we catch ourselves thinking, and we all do it. This is a path, right? One of my favorite spiritual quotes is progress, not perfection. Because then we can think negative thoughts about the fact that we're thinking negative thoughts, and that doesn't help. So if we find ourselves dwelling on a particular illness or burden, all that is a symptom of a lack of faith and trust. And maybe there is a positive action for us to take. Maybe it's time to meditate and pray and ask for guidance. But what I'm starting to come to is that if I'm dwelling on something, thinking about it over and over and over, that it's a symptom of a lack of faith. And it's really time to turn the illness over to God or over to a helper such as Bruno and really entrust it to them and really trust that the divine will see us through. I wish you a day of much divine energy, much health, and the absence of dwelling on illness. Much love.